downtown where you can get a date for 50, 60, 70, even 80% off the original social marketplace price. Now available in paperback and e-readers. Isis, All About the Goddess. The Goddess Next Door bears all in the art studio to catch a campus stalker in this action-packed Isis series mystery. Get your copy of Isis, All About the Goddess in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. Tia Mowry divorcing Cory Hardrict is like downgrading a computer from Windows 10 all the way down to Windows ME. Sad. Just sad. Anybody got an AOL CD? How about a Pentium 3 computer with 128 megabytes of RAM? Now, a couple of months ago, Tia Mowry said that she was graduating from marriage when she divorced Cory Hardrict. However, when it comes to Tia Mowry's whole plan, it basically is one that is just completely illogical, because when you call yourself divorcing your husband, you're not really progressing. No, basically you are stagnant. And when Tia Mowry said that her plan was to divorce Cory Hardrict to enter the world of dating, she basically showed us that she's regressing as related to her whole overall social life. Now, Tia Mowry believes that going to dating from marriage is a step up, but what it really is a step back. And if you look at computers and technology, you can see how it's basically like a downgrade, and a downgrade for the worse, because to go from being a married woman and part of a family to being a single woman going to dating, this is basically taking a major step back all the way back to adolescence where you're out here trying to figure out how the world of relationships work. And that's where Tia Mowry doesn't understand how she's made that step back, similar to the IT technician who goes out here, gets a brand new computer with Windows 10, and says they want to take that computer all the way back to Windows ME. Now, Windows ME was an operating system made back in 2000 for 2001, and it was supposed to be the home version of Windows that went along with Windows 2000. Now, Windows 2000 was the professional version of Windows that was very stable, but Windows ME in and of itself was one of the worst operating systems known in the history of Microsoft, and it was filled with a lot of bugs and glitches, and basically it just made your computer run really bad with things like illegal operations that would shut down your apps, or whole things that would basically overall crash your system. And sometimes it would crash your system so bad you would have to go out here and get a CD and basically reinstall the Windows ME software, and that software in and of itself was an absolute nightmare for every user who had it. And nobody really wanted Windows ME, and when Windows XP came along, people were basically relieved, because that operating system based on the Windows 2000 system was far more stable. But Windows ME in and of itself was a nightmare, and a nightmare of a piece of software that no one wants to go back to. But when you have people like Tia Mowry, they think that taking that step back to Windows ME is going to be a good thing, but taking a step back to Windows ME in 2024 is one of the worst things a person could do, because one, Windows ME is a terrible operating system. Two, Windows ME is not compatible with much of the technology we have out here today. And three, Windows ME basically will not really work with anything today, because many of the apps in and of themselves are 24 years old. I mean, many of the apps that are a part of Windows ME, such as Internet Explorer, they're no longer even used anymore. And two, you'll never be able to even get on the internet with Windows ME, because it's not compatible with any of today's software which runs on Wi-Fi. So this analogy is basically trying to show everyone that when Tia Mowry makes the statement that she wants to go back to dating at 46 years old, basically like the world of Windows ME that was out in 2001, what is that she's entering a world that's completely different, and the world approaches that we had in 2001 are not going to work in 2024. So when a 46-year-old woman sits here and says she wants to go out and date, basically she's taking herself back to her 2000s version of herself, a version of herself that basically shows that she is not looking to be able to function in today's world and can't function in today's world because the approaches that she learned in 2001 or 2002 just aren't going to work today, similar to that computer that has the Windows ME software on it, because the Windows ME software in and of itself, one, is unstable, and two, the Windows ME software in and of itself isn't compatible with anything today or even compatible with any of today's computers. So going to take that step back basically is going to set you back to something that's not going to be able to function, and that basically is shown with the way Tia Mowry is behaving these days as she enters into the modern social marketplace with 2000s approaches and is expecting to try to find guys who are like the ones she saw in the 2000s. She's still trying to find guys who will be interested in working with her on a Windows ME platform, but today most guys are now either using Windows 10 or they're using the Mac OS X software right now. So they're on a completely different level. And while she's out here looking for some guy who has an AOL 6.0 CD to help her get on the internet with a 56K modem, most people are saying, look, we got Wi-Fi right now. Our computers automatically connect to routers. There's nobody dialing up AOL. In fact, AOL is out of business. But we got Tia Mowry still out here trying to take herself back and telling herself the lie that she's graduated from marriage and is going to dating. But when she goes out here and says that she's graduated from marriage, what she's done is basically downgrade herself in the social marketplace. And as she's downgraded herself in the social marketplace, she is trying to use a whole approach and operations that are completely obsolete all around, because the world that she came from when she met Cory Hardrict in the 2000s was a completely different world, and there are not many guys out here using those approaches because the game has completely changed as related to the social marketplace, and the guys who were in the social marketplace who followed those approaches, basically there's no guys out here who are following it because they have adapted to the upgraded tech social marketplace and the upgraded world that's out here. And we have Tia Mowry again talking about she's moving ahead when she's moving back. And this is why she's running into the old Pookies, the old Ray Rays and Romy Rome. And this is where she's not understanding that she's not moving herself forward. No, she's moving backward, and moving so backward that she's basically going nowhere, because like the person who downgrades their computer to Windows ME, they're basically stuck with a defective operating system that doesn't allow them to function, doesn't allow them to access the internet, does not allow them to be able to even use many of the apps because the software in and of itself is old and obsolete, and just is no longer used anymore. But you have Tia Mowry again trying to apply this whole program and trying to apply this program that will not even work. Not work because it's just not going to work. Again, you cannot go out here and think that at 46 years old you're going to graduate from marriage graduate from marriage and enter into the world of dating, which again, entering the world of dating for a 46-year-old woman is a complete step back. It's a step back to adolescence, a step back to childhood, and a step that's not going to allow you to go out here and grow and achieve the ultimate accomplishment out of life for a woman, which is marriage, because most women, for them, the ultimate accomplishment is getting married, and getting married because this allows you to have a stable household and a stable family for your children. And that's what Tia Mowry had accomplished. She had basically accomplished the ultimate goal in the getting married to Cory Hardrict, the man I believe God had blessed her with, the man God had blessed her with to have a family. She had basically accomplished this and was on the right track, and was on the right track to having the life that would allow her to live that abundant life that God had given her, and was in a place where she was in the world of Windows 10 and Windows 11, in the world of the current technology, a world where she was on point and again able to function. But because she listened to dysfunctional women who had archaic ideas that they got from feminism, telling them that she could do better than Cory Hardrict and she could do better all by herself. Again, old archaic ideas that basically had her downgrading her entire life down to the level of Windows ME. Again, to this level of Windows ME, telling her, hey, you can just go out here and pop and hand her a CD for Windows ME. Again, most computers today don't even have CD-ROM drives or DVD-ROM drives. I mean, you can't even find that to put it, install that. I guess she got a USB key from someone or downloaded one from one of these torrents and decided, oh, I'm going to erase my operating system from my brand new computer and put on this Windows ME and go out here trying to use dial-up 56K. They don't even have jacks for this kind of stuff. I mean, that's what happened with Tia Mowry. And again, it's really sad that this woman basically is going out here, entering into the social marketplace, looking for it to be the same as it was in the past, which most Western women believe. They believe they can go and have all the time in the world. Unfortunately, as they enter the social marketplace, they're entering with a whole lot of broken code like Windows ME had, and entering that social marketplace with that broken code like Windows ME had, and wondering why they're crashing and having a lot of errors like many of the Windows ME users like myself used to have. I made the mistake of buying a computer with Windows ME, and it was just a complete disaster all around. And again, this is what Tia Mowry is doing, trying to apply this broken code, not understanding that trying to use a broken code and hoping that it will work is the definition of insanity, because the definition of insanity is doing the exact same thing and expecting a different result. And it's completely insane to believe that you can use Windows ME here in the 21st century in 2024, because in 2024, Windows ME's whole operating system will not work. Windows ME, you can't even get on the internet with it because all the computers that were made back then basically don't have any of the technology that is used for the internet anymore. Again, Internet Explorer in and of itself, Microsoft phased that out, so you don't have that as a browser. Moreover, you can't use 56K because AOL doesn't exist anymore as a company. So basically with Tia Mowry, she's got this whole operating system, this whole set of bad code trying to make this code work, not understanding that, again, 46-year-old women don't need to date, because if you've got a husband, you're out of the social marketplace and you're in a much better place than most of these other modern women who are basically single and struggling, because a 46-year-old woman, again, once you've got your family and you've got your home, you can basically coast until you basically are about to leave this world and go be with God because you're in a good place. But sadly, Tia Mowry made this mistake, and as she made this mistake, she basically thought she was going to upgrade her life listening to feminists who told her, oh, you've got money, but she's made a major downgrade and made a major downgrade to a whole operating system in life that just will not work for her in the modern world. That's what's happened here with Tia Mowry, and it's led to her becoming one of the 70% of black women who are single, who are still trying to follow an obsolete feminist code that has not worked, and continuing to follow that code to a paradigm of failure, like I talk about in my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, following that code all the way to winding up failing because they're following a bad code like Windows ME that doesn't have them thriving and progressing, but has their whole system completely crashed and unable to work unless you wipe the system and completely boot it to a new operating system, an operating system that will allow them to function. And that operating system, again, is the Word of God, which Tia Mowry had. She wiped the Word of God from her mind to take this downgrade to feminism, take this downgrade, and this downgrade has basically led to her stalling out because she went out here and thought she could take herself up to another level, not understanding the devil put her in a place where she couldn't be able to connect with anyone, like anyone who installs Windows ME on their computer. If you install Windows ME on a computer right now, you're not getting on the internet because, again, you need 56K modems to do that, and again, 56K is not something we have in a gigabit broadband world. In a gigabit broadband world, nobody's using 56K. Nobody's dialing up numbers on a modem. I mean, people don't do that anymore. And older people, we don't go out here and date. No, we realize that we get our partners when we were younger. If we're blessed, we can get a partner, and if we get married and stay married to that person, because you don't want to be stuck in a place where you're stuck with an obsolete system. And that's what happens to older women and older men when they enter the social marketplace. They get stuck with this older code, trying to use this older code in a new world, and this is where they get the shock of their life when they have to compete with these younger women. They have to compete with these younger women, and then they have these old approaches, and this is where they wind up getting jammed up and find themselves stuck with old Pookie, who's still living with his mama on the racing car bed, old Ray Ray, who basically is working security and looking to see what he can get from women as related to the marketplace, as related to he can find somebody if he can get the time on his job and the time with his baby mama. Or you have old Romy Rome, who's looking to see what he can get as related to shrimp fried rice and chicken wings, or a two-piece chicken dinner from the Arab red and white chicken place. I mean, these are the options for these guys out here, and Tia Mowry basically has put herself in that place where she's dealing with trying to use obsolete approaches and trying to use obsolete approaches to relationships. Again, obsolete, just like Windows ME, and a Windows ME approach is not going to work in a Windows 11 world. No, if you use a Windows ME approach, I'll repeat it again, you're not going anywhere because everything's taking Windows 11. And the only way for you to survive, again, is to, again, if you're older, to go stick with the husband of your youth, because you're not going to be able to function in a social marketplace where you're using Windows ME, because Windows ME, again, is just not going to work in today's social marketplace. Now, if you want to learn how to break out of the paradigm of failure Tia Mowry is in, or identify the paradigm of failure so that you don't get into it, you can pick up my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also pick up Why 70% of Black Women Are Single at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you want to learn how women like Tia Mowry wind up in a place where they become feminists and indoctrinated into feminism, you can pick up my book, The Woman Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Woman Crisis at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me make more videos taking celebrities to the barbecue, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, ISIS Legacy. Sorority secrets of the goddess next door are revealed in this all-new ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS Legacy in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback. From the author of the critically acclaimed book, The Man Crisis, comes The Woman Crisis. Learn why so many women have become lost in their quest to have it all in The Woman Crisis. Get your copy of The Woman Crisis in paperback at Amazon.com and online booksellers today.
Now available for the first time in paperback, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. Learn all the reasons why so many Black women can't find a husband and why 70% of Black women are single. Get your copy of Why 70% of Black Women Are Single on Amazon.com today.
Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.